eat grapefruits! Fake! Liar! You liar!
Screw your freedom.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. It is Sunday Night Live. We're at the zoo where all the animals come together. We've got YouTube, we've got Patreon, we've got everybody. I want to thank you all also for coming. Sunday, is it the beginning of the week or the end of the week? I know it's the first day of the week. It's Sunday, and let there be light. Light is knowledge, right? Light is information. Let there be light. What an interesting concept. I want to start the show off today, though, with a very special message. The urban Aboriginal Rudy got a hold of me and let me know that we've lost a patriot. And I wanted to let you know who this man was just a little bit. He did a lot of training for high-level, high-speed shooters. Army veteran, U.S. Air Marshal, military man, and apparently an excellent instructor and a good friend. And I wanted to raise a little toast, right, to say thank you to this man. His name was Marcus Wayne, M-A-R-C-U-S-M-W-Y-N-N-E, Wine. Anyways, been a hell of a weekend. One for me and one for my homies. Thank you, Marcus, for what you've done. If you want to watch, find him on YouTube. Like I said, he was a teacher and instructor, did a lot of very important work. His YouTube name was Working with Warriors Bookshelf. Marcus Wynn. No, wait, that was, I think that was someone reviewing his book. Yeah, let me get you his YouTube channel. Man, what a weekend. What have you been up to? Did you get rest? Did you get some training? His YouTube channel is Marcus Wynn, M-A-R-C-U-S-W-Y-N-N-E. That's his channel. The other channel I was telling you, Working with Warriors Bookshelf, was someone doing a review of his work. Whew. Semper Fi, everyone. It is going to be one heck of a show. I hope you brought your drink. I hope you brought your brains. And folks, this is a show where you get to be the star. You throw a super chat donation up, and I'll make you famous. Right now, if you want to be anonymous, you can be anonymous. You don't have to give me your name, address, and everyone. Right? We're not doxing people, but I can make you famous if you want. Now, when you ask a question, there is no stupid question, right? When you have a statement, there's no real stupid statement unless you're really, really stupid. The idea here is to get people thinking, and that's why your questions, your comments, your statements, your reflections on what's going on, if you want to share your perspective, an opinion, it's not anything more than educational, right? And we do use a lot of satire. It just makes everything more fun, but it's always about having the prepared mind. So let's start off with, T96 checks in with a $1.99 super chat donation. He says, hashtag Justin's wife wants our real. There's too much on this. Let me try it again. Justin's wife wants a real man, wants convoys, and wants convoy Sean for her. Wow. That is a hashtag from hell. How about something short? Justin's wife wants a real convoy, man. You just go read that one. Right out the gate, we get it, some good, funny, humorous stuff, but I'm sure that's a real hashtag. Anyways, we had Darcy checks in with a super chat donation to PayPal. Thank you, Darcy. You're here every week supporting the effort, supporting the cause, and keeping it up. And she has this to say, good evening, John. Wondering if the globalists might be trying to use the convoy as a catalyst for their next move. Exclusive use of self-driving vehicles on the roads, perhaps, to avoid any such unwanted behavior from the masses, which could negatively impact the supply chain. This is a great question. What she's saying is, with all these truck drivers going on strike and all of these people saying, I'm not going back to the work, I'm not going to take the Jim Jones juice, you can't make me, right? And it's punishing the country. I think you have an interesting perspective on this. Perhaps, right, our good buddy, the Davos boys, the globalists, are saying, now we can use the mainstream media and say, well, we need self-driving trucks. We don't need humans driving those trucks. Maybe a few here and there for special purposes, but for a long haul across the country, up and down, north and south, wouldn't it be easier just to have GPS, computer-controlled trucks on the highway, save tons of money? You bet. Now, they could go and say, oh, look at all these supply chain problems. Blame it, right, on human drivers. And when they figure we, the people, have been punished enough because we don't want their mandates, we don't want their lockdowns, we don't want their rules, we don't want their medicines, whatever it is we don't want from them, and they're done punishing us, they can say, yeah, we don't need you at all. It's very potential, right? The potential for all of this is real, to punish us and then make us non-essential. Remember when they first started this lockdown crap 2 years ago? I got out the cigar, I got out the scotch, and I said, shit has hit the fan, burn that freaking Byron cigar, and said it hit the fan, right? And they've been punishing us and telling us how it's going to be, telling us how we're not going to have anything, we won't own any property, and we'll be happy. I don't see a whole lot of happy with their program. I think they think we should be happy. But Darcy, thank you for the excellent support as always, and a terrific out the gate question. Unwanted behavior. See, this sends a message. They go, oh, you're truck drivers. Well, we don't need you anymore. If you think you're going to punish us and your fellow countrymen, they can turn around and use the mainstream media to announce they're introducing entire fleets of self-driving trucks, from large semis to small local deliveries, and say, hey, guess what? We don't need you. You've been hurting your own countrymen, your own people. Didn't hurt us. We're the super rich. You're just hurting your own. And you're no longer essential. Now you're non-essential. The same way we were all non-essential 2 years ago. Well, except for super important doctors and nurses who are now being fired, folks, because they won't get the Jim Jones juice. I thought they were heroes. I thought they were essential. Hospitals are shutting down wings and floors because they don't have enough help. Well, it's because they're firing their essential workers, people who support us. You see, every time we turn around, and Darcy has a great point, every time we turn around, they use everything against us. They are like the ultimate narcissistic personality disorder union. They're just a bunch of megalomaniacs, and they'll turn everything around. So it's always our fault. What a world. Unbelievable. Thank you again for that one, Darcy. Moving on, we have, Rudy's checking in. Thank you, Mr. Rudy. Says that was a longtime friend, Dennis Martin, out of the United Kingdom, but thanks for the shout out. Thank you, Rudy. And by the way, Rudy and I are trying to put together a time when we can sit down and have a chat together. like to pick his brain, man. I'd like to pick your brain, brother. Unbelievable what is happening out there. We've got EB checking in with a $5 super chat donation. Hit that super chat button, folks. Put in your question, your comment, your statement, and it's your show on Sunday Night Live. And EB says, hi, John. Are the lifting of mandates across the pond a good start, or are we just entering the eye of the storm? That is a fabulous question. What he means is, you know, at the front of a hurricane, you got all of those winds, and then you're in the eye, the center, and everything seems calm and fine until the second half of the circle, the circumference, the high winds and rain just comes by and smashes you again. I'm going to go with the your idea. We're going to have these periods of calm between the next wave of being smashed by a storm. You know, are they going to keep coming at us with more medical? In other words, we had this huge 2-year, folks, 2-year cerveza bug, all hot air, wind, and blustering, right? Telling us how our world's going to change and you're locked down. You know, how your rights are taken, your property values are ruined, destroyed, businesses, everything, you know, it doesn't belong to you anymore. So, are we going to get more of that? Now we're starting to get what, Ireland, England, Denmark, or the Netherlands. Is it Denmark or the Netherlands? Shit, can't remember. Got rid of the masks, rules, mandates. Same with the Czech Republic. Hopefully Remy can check in and let us know what's going on over there in Europe. Yeah, it seems to be like they're running out of wind. I mean, a 2-year wave of SHTF just destroying us, folks, like a Category 5 hurricane just shitting all over us, right? Are they ever going to get that momentum back if it goes away? Because it seems to be going away. People aren't buying it anymore, right? They're not buying into the baloney. It's losing its effectiveness. That doesn't mean they don't have other, shall we say, operations in mind. I wish the people that were listening could talk about some of the secret operations they did to speak to what it is governments secretly, privately do behind the scenes. You know, there's some unbelievable shit that's blamed on others, other people, other actions, other events. All right. There's as much coming as they want, folks. You want to talk about a second wave coming? They're lessening the cerveza bug. Now, what's my favorite guy's name? You know, the little cock that could. You know, Dr. Doom. He doesn't want to give up. But if the world leadership says we're done with it, they've got war with Russia. They have countless other ways to just attack us and destroy us. What is coming next? I mean, I feel overwhelmed by the potentials out there. I feel overwhelmed. I get information from everybody, everywhere, all the time. It is overwhelming. You know, this idea that the government wants to feed us bugs, that Bill Gates wants to feed us bugs, literal bugs for protein. You know, the idea that there's no problems at all with food, but I keep getting reports of stores and seeing it myself where there are areas within stores, and this has never happened in my life, well, there's complete shelves bare. That's kind of why I used Mr. T's new disclaimer at the beginning, you know, which was we parodied a scene from The Interview, right, where Kim Jong-un was supposedly trying to show North Korea look good. It looked normal, right? And the guy found out it was all a big lie. So we use that in a parody here. But folks, it is wild. What is next? Oh, well, let's try this. While we're on this idea, and remember, folks, it's all satire. But North Korea has fired a ballistic missile into the sea again, basically to challenge the authority of Joe Biden. Again, really, we need more of that. We need more North Korea stuff. Could we have North Korea fire an EMP off, folks? Could Iran fire off an EMP? Why all of a sudden, after Trump is gone, and Trump actually went and visited with the man in person, now we have yet again a Democrat in the White House, and all he's doing is causing trouble, pissing off countries around the world. And we got little guys like Kim Jong-un launching missiles into the sea and scaring everybody. Why do we need this? Well, if we can't scare people, with cerveza bug, then maybe we should try scaring them with missiles, or a war with Russia, or a war with China. Yep. Thank you, Kim Jong-un, right, for firing more stuff into the sea. Probably scaring the hell out of the Japanese a lot more. I know it scares people in Hawaii. A friend of mine was actually on vacation in Oahu. Last time there was a threat that a nuke was on its way, and they told everyone on the island, kiss your ass goodbye. Quite a deal. We got keep on keeping on, and a Semper Fi from Heidi. Super chat donation to PayPal. Thank you, Heidi. Be safe. Stay warm up there, for Pete's sake. You're in the Great White North, and it's got to be cold. Cold. And thank you again, Rudy. I see a super chat donation coming from Big Rudy, the urban aboriginal. We have a lot to do, folks. We've got a lot to do, a lot to cover, a lot to talk about. This is your show, though, Sunday Night Live. What do you want to talk about? We got T96. T96. Justin's wife wants a real man. Convoys ran on her. Okay, let me see if I can explain this now. And thank you again, Rudy, as I shut this down. Let me find the story. Here it is. There's a barrage of truckers, right? The convoy up in Canada, the Freedom Convoy. There's a barrage of truckers that want to get to, reaching, are going to be at Canada's capital, the home of Justin Trudeau. Well, the spineless spaghetti-kneed, just weakling of a man, Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, is hiding. He's hiding in COVID isolation. He's hiding despite having 2 negative tests and Canadian guidelines saying that if you're fully juicinated, you, quote, don't need to isolate, end quote. In other words, he doesn't have to quarantine and he doesn't have to isolate himself. He's fully juicinated. He should go to work and face this convoy. But it sounds like Justin Trudeau's wife would like a convoy. Kind of a play on words, if you know what I mean. Anyways, there is the blowback for what is happening around the world, this cerveza bug stupidity. It's getting bad. It's getting nasty. I mean, the other article I got having to do with Canada is that when they reached Ottawa, there were tens of thousands, right, of people who went out to the roads, who greeted the convoy. That's a lot of people, folks, in support of freedom and liberty. I think that's a good thing. I really do. I want to see more freedom. I want to see more liberty. It has been a long weekend. I feel like I got drugged through a swamp. I feel like I've been run over by a truck. Training, folks, physical training. get in better shape. I think this long, cold winter, is does what it always does. Puts a little bit of extra padding around our middle. We don't get quite as much sunlight as we normally do. It's colder outside. So be sure and get yourself in shape. I think we're going to need it this coming year. I think we're going to need a lot more than we're expecting. I keep getting this uneasy feeling. I keep getting an uneasy feeling, folks, that there's something coming that we're not going to be ready for. We can be prepared: food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and a plan. I just think there's something else coming that is going to challenge us. Yeah, we're looking at Russia and Ukraine. Yeah, we're looking at China and Taiwan. Yeah, now we're looking at North Korea. I think there's something different coming. I don't know. They're telling us that Patriot Front is coming, and that they're a bunch of, well, it turns out, folks, they're a bunch of KKK types. They're a bunch of white supremacists out of Texas or something. But since they all cover their faces up above their nose and around their ear and wear a hat, always uniformly clad in a way that they can be spotted, also wearing sunglasses so you can't see their eyes, it seems like these guys could easily be mimicked. Is it a real group of, Nazi, neo-Nazi, KKK types? Or is it a front, right? Like a fake storefront, right? It's a front put on by agents provocateur with a bunch of, shall we say, pansies and patsies up front to take the fall. I don't know. I think we get lied to quite a bit, don't you think?
Fake carrots. Fake fruit. Fake. Fake grapefruits. Fake. Liar! You liar!
They give us so much fake, folks. It's a fake, it's a lie, it's a Potemkin city. Everything is bullshit. Where are we at, folks? We, the people, are trying to do real things. I mean, for example, in Canada, it's a real convoy full of real people who've been really affected, who have really had enough of all the crap and want to protest as loudly as possible, and the Prime Minister isn't there. What is real? It's a great question, I think, that needs to be asked. All right, let's see where you want to go next. Remember, I've got to remember this is your show. It is Sunday Night Live, where you get to direct the action. You get to make statements. Put in your super chat, and you too can contribute to my diet of spam and sausage, etc. Anyways, your guys' donations keep me living la vida loca. And I want to thank you for it. You keep the lights on, you keep the bills paid, you help get stuff done. And what do we want to get done? We want people prepared. We want to share information. We want to keep these networks going, right? Because every show, it's not just about the information I put out. It's not just about the questions you ask. It's about all the human interaction, people with like-minded thinking. All right, we got Frankie Rios with a $2 super chat, and he says, the eye. Revelations 16 and 17. All right, I'm not going to comment beyond Revelations 16 and 17, but I tell you what, pick up a Bible and read it. Now, what I will tell you is the book of Revelations was the first book I ever read, in the Bible. I picked it up and thought, if you want to find out how the story ends, you read the last chapter. So I opened the book, read the last chapter, and went, oh, this isn't good, right? Yeah, wow. Rough way to get an introduction to the word. Anyways, that's what I did. I don't know how you started it, go the other direction and read about apples and such. Anyways, Semper Fi to you all. Oh, yeah, that's good stuff. Good stuff indeed. Okay. Where do you want to go? What do you want to talk about? You want to talk about social, political, military, geopolitical, educational? We've got Boru checking in with a $20 super chat donation. And he says, I don't have much to say except the 99% compliance in the Constitution state is pretty hysterical to watch. Literal hysterics out here. Just a bunch of kitty cats. Nobody in Connecticut can fight. I'm out of here 55 years. Boru, you made it 55 years in the state of Connecticut. That's incredible. The Constitution state. Yeah, I tell you. Well, it's kind of like calling California the Golden State. California is no longer the Golden State. It was, I don't know, 170 years ago. Now it's the turd state. It's the brown state, right? It's the fecal state. It's the shithole. California is. But yeah, I keep hearing this from people who are up in the Northeast, in the New England states, in very liberal states like California, Oregon, Washington, Illinois, especially in the greater Chicago area. People are complying. They're not fighting back. It seems to me, Boru, that the intent of those who pulled the trigger on SHTF, they're successful. They intended to break the will of the people, and they have. Now, thousands and thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people have relocated out of Boston, Massachusetts, out of Connecticut, out of Rhode Island, out of New York, out of Jersey, out of Illinois. People are leaving and going to free areas. They've had it. A lot of people, though, they've been beaten down, man. And this, I think, is the war of attrition that they wanted to see successful. Now, people wearing masks, right? So when you say 99% compliance, do you mean people wearing masks or people getting the Jim Jones juice? Because the numbers for Jim Jones juice, I keep hearing that there's somewhere down around 60 or 70. In other states, I hear that it's a third, 33% or less. Depends on where you're at, of course, whether you're rural or metropolitan. But I know government tends to lie. And if someone called on the phone and said, would you care to take a survey? And you're like, yeah, I want to be famous. And they say, have you gotten your Jim Jones juice? You're going to say, yeah, because they don't want to be found out. They don't want to be harassed. They want to virtue signal a little, sound like, yeah, they're up to speed. Yeah, I got the Jim Jones juice. Hang up, right? Unbelievable. People aren't ready to fight, though. And if you're getting out of Connecticut, I would definitely recommend it, man. There are better pastures out there, greener pastures. The political left, these globalist folks, they're after us. They want to punish us. Thank you again, Boru, for the great support that you offer this show every week. Folks, it is you guys. It's all of you, right? Who, I don't want to give all this free advertising to Hormel and Spam. I guess I should take that down, right? You got to be careful out there. I certainly don't want all of the left-wing activists out there to cancel Spam and Hormel companies because their product was on display on my channel. Unbelievable, folks, the cancel culture. And while we're waiting for the next super chat donation, let's talk about canceling. Well, there was an actress in New York City who was fired, right? Because she wrote a bunch of anti-police cop-hating crap in her social media. She posted a video complaining about the streets being blocked off for a funeral of the slain police officer, Jason Rivera. So the company fired her. And they posted it, folks. They posted it on social media and said, hey, we're not going to put up with this. So it's kind of nice to see Kind of nice to hear about a leftist pulling their anti-law and order bullshit and getting fired for it. It's, I like free speech. I say, look, if you want to do that, you go right ahead, lady. Say all you want. But it's funny how one of these left-wing activists, pro-socialist, pro-Marxist, anti-cop, probably anti-white, anti-constitution, anti-American, she wouldn't mind streets being shut down and parts of the city being shut down because of Antifa and BLM having a march, one of their mostly peaceful rallies where, cars and buildings are burned and stores are looted and people are assaulted. I bet she doesn't mind when that happens. But yeah, she certainly minds it when streets are shut down for just a few minutes for a police procession to go by. But she doesn't mind days and weeks of BLM riots and shutdowns. How about months of being terrorized at night like they were in the city of Portland and other cities like Minneapolis? They don't seem to mind that. Anyways, the dumb bitch has been canceled. And I think that's absolutely terrific. This is America, right? It is America. So sorry, lady. Anyways, folks, it is Saturday. No, what day is it? Sunday. It's Sunday, Sunday Night Live. The week starts tomorrow, but we talk right now about what's happening. And we got Southern Tripper checking in, Southern Tripper 13 with a $4.99 super chat donation. And that super chat button, folks, is so you can donate to the cause, donate to the network to keep us on the air. But it's also your chance to be famous. Ask a question. Give me a comment. Give me your opinion. It's all good. So here's what Southern Tripper 13 says. He says, my question, what does John feel about the governor of South Dakota? Please help Jolene or Uman. Please help Jolene or Uman. How do I feel about the governor of South Dakota? I am not in South Dakota. I've seen the complaints about the governor, that the governor is rhino-like, right? In other words, Republican name only, doesn't support completely 100% constitutional things, seems to have problems with personal family stuff. My issue with all politicians is at some point they seem to get really happy with their power and they quit representing the people. They all make big claims about how they're going to help us when they take office. And then they get into office and they do some good things. And then they kind of stop and then they start getting acclimated to having power and become, how do they say that? Right. It's not that they're disenchanted with the people, that there's a disconnect that occurs. The governor of South Dakota, I think, has done a good job with Cerveza bug and the stupidity there. Wasn't the governor responsible for Trump celebrating July 4th there? I want to be critical, but I don't want to be critical. We're in a strange place. We don't want more rhinos. I definitely don't want that, but I mean, like Liz Cheney is Republican in name only in a very Republican state. How did she get that job? Right? She certainly doesn't say anything freedom-minded. She doesn't, she is practically 100% a Democrat. But the governor there in South Dakota seems to do a pretty good job, just has trouble. I don't live, breathe, and eat politics of every governor in the country. It's just too much to keep up with between a lot of the information I get from you guys, my own research, life in general. It keeps me pretty busy. But we get upstarts like, let's see, Governor Northam leaving Virginia, the new governor coming in and doing a great job of getting rid of mandates. And then in also Virginia, the new attorney general fires a bunch of radicals, is going to start prosecuting criminals and investigating those suspected of violating the law. So, you know, I tend to comment more that way. My recommendation for everyone throughout the entire country is, whether you think your governor, your Senate, your assembly, your House of Representatives people, your U.S. senators, no matter how conservative you think they are, no matter how Republican, conservative, constitutional you think you are, they need to hear from you, right? If I was in Texas, I can't think Governor Abbott is perfect and not say anything. I would be sending him messages constantly if I were you, telling him what you think and what you want. So it leaves nothing to chance, right? And if you have kind of a rhino, a soft, Republican governor or senator, it's going to do them a lot of good to hear from you and say, we want more Constitution, get rid of the CRT, get rid of this lawlessness, uphold the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, all of that. If you're always telling them, then it helps push them in the right direction. Even if you think they're as conservative as possible, because understand, even if they're heavy Constitution, heavy conservative, they're getting hit from the other side, being told, that's a lie. People don't want you. They don't really want the Constitution. I'm sure Governor DeSantis gets it a lot. I'm sure the governor in Virginia is going to hear it a lot. He's going to be told, folks, you're pissing off the people that voted you in office. They don't really want you to be like this. That's just some radical, loud people. You need to get to the center and be the governor for all the people, not just the radical Trumpsters. And so you need to take the time. We all need to take the time to write in to all of our elected political leaders and tell them to uphold the Constitution. One more for the score. There it is. All right, we got a super chat donation from Michael. And he says, we should build an army and crowd fund it. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate the donation and the topic. It's a very touchy topic, the idea of putting together an army. If we talk about a paramilitary organization, that gets very, very dicey these days, Michael. This idea of having a militia of U.S. citizens now gets you put instantly on a list with the FBI, Department of Justice, the Department of Homeland Security. And if you have, let's see, pro-constitutional, shall we say, agenda or, a manifesto, anytime you're a bad person, it's a manifesto. So we have to be very careful that what we do say and do is recommend that we're all armed for the purpose established under the Second Amendment, the right of the people to keep and bear arms, right, shall not be infringed. And it kind of goes hand in hand with that idea that we've sworn an oath, many of us, to uphold, defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Many of us are already trained militarily or have private training, self-defense. So here's the army I would recommend, Mike. An army of Americans who put America first, heart and soul, country. And the way we do that is by learning our law, our history, our traditions, and our Constitution, and making that personal decision. It's usually reflected externally as an oath. But if we say, look, I'm going to defend the country, the Constitution, against all enemies, foreign and domestic, the best way for me to do that is to understand the law, understand the Constitution, understand freedom and the principles. And if you've got that, right, you're an American, you've basically given an oath or taken an oath that only you know about, and you've got military training or private training, self-defense training. We're a standing army already, Michael. The only thing we're not doing is organizing together and marching towards our common enemies. We know as American citizens, as the American people, capital P, the American people, we know who the enemies of our country are. They've declared themselves. They've declared themselves by wanting to destroy the Constitution, by not only allowing, but by recommending that corporations take their businesses out of the country, by promoting globalism and not promoting a strong United States of America, by promoting the idea that the First Amendment, Second Amendment, Fourth, Fifth, all the amendments and the Constitution themselves are merely guidelines that need to be either ignored or changed or just pissed on altogether. Those are the enemies of this country. People who hate America, hate our traditions, hate our culture. You know, we're not perfect, us patriot types. We're not 100% unified, Michael, but if we have that as a foundation, a belief in our country and a love and an understanding of what freedom does for all of us, regardless of color, creed, age, gender, or anything, we're all Americans and America should come first. Wow. Anyways, it's a great subject. And again, he says we should build an army and crowdfund it. We're all individually funding ourselves, which is terrific. And get prepared, right? An army needs food, water, to be sheltered, to be clothed, to have medicine, as well as self-defense, right? An army needs all those things. And I think we're building an army right now, Michael. We're doing it through social media. High tech is allowing us to build an army across the country and around the world, to teach, to discuss ideas prior to, during, and then after the American Revolution. Americans talked. They would talk in church, they would talk in pubs, they would talk in the town square, they would talk during political gatherings. And they would hash out the ideas. After the revolution was fought and we had the Constitutional Convention, they had a lot of debates. They were recorded as the Federalist Papers, these ideas of freedom, right? But people were all behind that. We right now are in the process of we're trying to have talks and discussions about what is America, what is freedom, what do we want, what works best. And we've got a lot of trouble coming, right? We've got a long way to go before this SHTF is solved. And it's my opinion that we'll all continue to wake up. We're all going to be fighting this war one way or another. And I mean that in a intellectual sense, while some may get that 1% call, and they'll need to step up in that regard. Need to wash down that delicious scotch with some of that. Right now, we're sitting at 673 viewers live. That's more than the President of the United States gets when he comes on YouTube for a press conference. That should be surprising and shocking to everybody. But at the same time, is it really all that shocking and surprising? In a way, it isn't. Really, it's not that shocking. I want to tell you this. There was a shocking, stunning poll that came out. Americans are rejecting Biden. That's why we get more views here on this little YouTube channel. We get more views here than the president gets. It's a huge stunner, right? Only 29% of the American population support sending U.S. troops over to Ukraine, right? That's just over a quarter. That means about half of Democrats don't want to go there, and probably all the Republicans are not supporting sending troops into Ukraine. What have we learned, right? Well, see, we've learned that the Russians have already made a deal with Ukraine, and that they're gonna observe and uphold the Donbass ceasefire. So there's going to be no invasion, no war there. And if we send American troops over there, it's just going to antagonize the situation. If war or conflict were to break out, Russia has hypersonic missiles that are flying, I don't know, 5,000 miles an hour, faster than a speeding bullet, faster than any missile, so fast you couldn't see it going from one end of the sky to the other. That's how fast it would be. Yeah, Russia, it's a nasty, nasty character, right? Do we need to send troops over there for a problem that doesn't exist? Right? Only half of Democrats say yes. Now, on the other side, 76% of Americans reject Biden's idea of only considering a black woman to be on the Supreme Court of the United States. Once again, only about or less than 1/4 of Americans like the idea that Biden's come up with. Probably the same people, give or take, right? Plus or minus a few percentage points. So that means probably all Republicans and half the Democrats are like, you just shouldn't do stuff like that, say stuff. Biden's continuing to turn off and reject his own party. Half of his own party doesn't support him. And out of those that do, I would go so far as to state, wild conjecture, the only reason half the Democrats support him is because they hate Trump so much. It's not that they support Biden. It's just that they're going to say they support him because they hate Trump so much. How many people literally believe that Joe Biden's a great president? I'm sure it's less than 10%. And we just, shot up over 710 viewers, just like that. Just like that, what are we at? We're at 45 minutes. We're 45 minutes into the show, folks. Almost an hour. We're going to go about 2 hours as long as you guys want to talk. It's your super chats. It's your show, folks. What do you want to talk about? Monday through Friday, we do a daily Q&A on Patreon, and Patreon is great, folks, on a daily basis, but it's Sunday Night Live where you guys we all get to come together and talk about what the hell is going on last week, where we're going next week, starting tomorrow, right? What happened over the weekend? What do you want to discuss? Get in your super chat donation, and I will get to make you famous. Your question actually is what's going to make you famous. I'm not having anything to do with it, but your question, folks, it's your show, Sunday Night Live. But I want to throw this out there. Trump had a rally in Texas this weekend. It's kind of like a surprise, right? Popped up all of a sudden, really fast. 50,000 people, that's the estimate. 50,000 people showed up to see President Trump in Conroe. That's huge, folks. That's huge. And what I got from this is that the United States of America is clamoring for a real leader for freedom. They're begging for it. Someone step up and be a leader. A lot of people love Trump, folks. A lot of people don't really like Trump on the conservative side. But I have this question. If America is clamoring for freedom and they're shouting and screaming for Trump to be the provider of that, they want Trump to be back in the White House. They want to vote for Trump. If there's a better leader for freedom out there, where is he? If there's a better Republican, why is he not showing up? I don't know that Trump is suppressing any other candidates for president. I know there's a lot of talk of DeSantis. In fact, the media tried to portray DeSantis and Trump having some sort of riff, some sort of problem with each other that was dismissed. But I know that Governor DeSantis down there in Florida, he's at the top of the potentials as far as positive polling goes. But this is a serious question I have: is the people have woke up and decided freedom's really important. In Canada, truckers, right, are now in the headlines leading that charge. But us, me, you, regular people, we want some leadership. We want somebody who is a not only a viable candidate for presidency, but also wants freedom and liberty. We don't need any more Mitch McConnells. We don't need any more Mitt Romneys. Right? We don't need that. That's not leadership. That's certainly not something that promotes the idea of freedom. It doesn't inspire freedom to hear that Mitt Romney is still in politics. Where are we going to get somebody who stands up and says freedom and liberty? As soon as you do, right, you're looked at like you're a bad guy. Right? I talk about the founding fathers, the patriots, who founded this country, who stood up and said, no more tyranny. We want freedom. And the first thing that happens is people kind of back away. They're like, hey, we don't need any domestic terrorists here. It's like talking about freedom makes one a domestic terrorist. Well, folks, all you have to do is be a parent now to be labeled a domestic terrorist by the Department of Justice and the FBI. Literally, you don't even have to have a political opinion. You just have to be a parent and want to stand up for your children and protect them. So if you can't even stand up as a parent without getting on a list of some sort, how can you stand up and say, I want to be president, much less stand up and I want to be the president of freedom? So it looks like until that day comes, folks, until that day comes, Trump is going to be the man. And nobody else, no other viable candidate is standing up. Now, conversely, on the Democrat side, they couldn't muster a single charismatic, intelligent Democrat. I mean, given the fact that their political platform, whatever it is hard to intellectually justify because it doesn't make any sense. They still can't provide a likable or charismatic leader who can articulate some sort of thinking. So they literally recycled Joe Biden. That was the best they could do. So the entire nation, we have a leadership shortage. Nancy Pelosi is not leadership, folks. Chuck Schumer is not leadership. Mitch McConnell is not leadership. And McCarthy, the Republican minority in the House, that leader, he's not much of a leader either. Out of all those people I just named, none of them make freedom and liberty, our rights, me and you, none of them make our liberty, our freedom, and our rights the number one issue. None of them do that. We're now up to 766 live viewers, folks. President can't get 500 for 5 minutes. Right? We're going on an hour now, and we're close to 1,000. I would like to hit 1,000. I would like everyone to send links out. Send out a link. Put that link up there, the URL address. Put it up there. Email it out. Say, wake up. Our country was built on freedom. Freedom made it great. Right? I don't see anybody out there wearing a hat that says "Build Back Better." But I do see a lot of "Make America Great Again" hats and a lot of Trump flags, a lot of Trump yard signs still, Trump bumper stickers. The idea of making America great again. What made America great in the first place? It wasn't building back. It wasn't spending government money on social programs. It was liberty and freedom. Our nation needs a leader, folks. I'm really hoping that we get one. Really, really. And I'll tell you what. This is our country, folks. And we deserve to have better. This is your show, by the way. And if you have a question, a comment, idea, hit that super chat button. And Jolene will flip you up on the screen and we'll read what you have to say. Your questions, your comments, folks, your ideas. Woo! I tell you, this is actually, I got following up that beverage I had earlier with a little bit of iced tea, which is kind of nice. Kind of nice to have. You know, it certainly beats having the Jim Jones juice. Ooh, Jim Jones juice. Speaking of that, Mobile T, or T-Mobile, folks, has decided it is going to disregard the Supreme Court saying you don't have a mandate. The president is not mandating the Jim Jones juice. People don't have to. And now we have another private company. It says it's going to terminate unjuicinated employees. Well, how about that? Isn't that incredible? So companies are demanding to know your medical history, what medical procedures, medications you've taken, and if you don't answer them to their satisfaction, they'll fire you. Sounds to me like a HIPAA violation, which is, by the way, a crime. It would be nice to see that get taken care of. And oh, by the way, yeah, I'm sure the little booster rooster, the little cock that can't, is going to keep pushing his Jim Jones juice and everything else. Now, what have we seen coming out of the leadership in Washington, D.C., out of the bureaucracy up in Washington, D.C.? They've continued to push their narrative, and their water and their story is carried by the mainstream media, and it's carried, folks, it's carried by Hollywood. So Bette Midler decided to join the fray, and she decided to call the people of West Virginia, quote, poor, illiterate, and strung out. She attacked the people of West Virginia. You know, I don't know where she lives, and I really don't give a shit. She's kind of a washed up old hag, probably looking more witch-like than the witch that she portrayed in the movie Hocus Pocus. But her response was to attack the people of West Virginia, folks, because Senator Manchin, who is a Democrat, Senator Manchin listened to his constituents and then voted against breaking House or breaking Senate rules. He voted against breaking rules. He voted against violating the rules. And he's a Democrat, but she didn't care. So instead of attacking him, she attacked the people. Understand, folks, these elites are out there, and they'll yell at each other and play games, but they really enjoy punishing us. So what is absolutely fantastic is the governor of West Virginia, he took his dog, his bulldog, and in front of God and the world, held it up and said, Bette Midler can kiss his dog's hiney. That's hiney, H-I-N-E-Y, bunghole, kiss his dog's ass. That's where we're at. The governor of West Virginia, I think, ought to look more now, much more closely at who his political friends and enemies are. See, this attack is getting more personal, and it's coming down to you and me. They're attacking you and I. We're having less and less support out here, you and I. Right? We're being threatened. We're having our power grid threatened. Several months ago, the Secretary of Energy said, yeah, we're going to see rolling blackouts coming in the Biden administration. We're going to see power outages. We were told by the Department of Homeland Security that right-wing extremists want to shut down your grid. We've been told that there's going to be food supply issues, and there have been some slight ones. We've been told there's going to be higher prices because they can't seem to get their act together and go to work. And we're seeing that. We're seeing inflation. They're continuing to tell us, folks, that they don't care about us, that we don't matter. You know, and the elites in media, including Hollywood, right? The elites in media, not just news, but entertainment, they hate anyone who doesn't agree with them, and they'll even attack an entire state of people, poor, illiterate, and strung out. Isn't that similar to Hillary when she called all of us deplorables? Deplorable is spelled pretty close to disposable, right? We're disposable. We're deplorable. We're poor, illiterate, and strung out. That's coming from Bette Midler, who can read a cue card. You see, actors, for the most part, memorize a couple of lines and have cue cards ready to help them with their lines, and that's what they're good at. But they want to attack others. In fact, isn't that kind of reminiscent of the entire political left? They get a little bit of college in them and they think they're superior to you. They get an understanding of the law and they get a little Marxism in them and they think they can tear up the Constitution. The governor of West Virginia, the governor of South Dakota, the governor of Texas, the governor of Florida, the governor of Virginia, they all better wake up. All governors need to wake up and realize you're going to be attacked. You better fight back for your people. That is your state. Same with the House of Representatives, same with senators, same with assemblymen, even local political organizations like a city council or county supervisors. They need to wake up and start representing the people and not the political status quo. It is unbelievable. Folks, this is your show. What do you want to talk about? It's your show. Where are we taking this? Hit that super chat button and let's get into it. We got Shelly Chavers with a $10 super chat donation. She says, I'm an RN. So Shelly is a registered nurse. I mean, she put in some serious education, folks. She's an RN and has to go back to work. Recommendation to those who have to do the same. NAC, ascorbyl palmitite, and L-lysine. Okay, so look these up on the internet. A lot of stuff I can't say, folks, right? It's like currently right now, the attitude of YouTube, Google, the attitude of Twitter, Facebook, all social media wants to punish anybody talking about medicine. So this is an RN, and she says she has to get back to work. And she's recommending that anyone has to do the same sort of thing, get back to work, whether you're in medicine or not, right? So look up NAC on the internet. Look up ascorbyl palmitate. Look up L-lysine with regard to, shall we say, the common cold, Jim Jones juice. Now, ascorbyl palmitate is a liposoidal vitamin C. It's what I took back in 2014 when I had a very severe chest cold that wouldn't go away after 2 months. I think it was 2.5 months. Someone said, buy some ascorbyl palmitate, John, try it. And I did, and it did what nothing else would, folks. It killed the cold, which had turned into basically bronchitis and a walking pneumonia after 2.5 months of, shoveling animal manure in sub-freezing weather a couple hours a day. That'll tend to bring down your immune system. Anyways, give your immune system a boost of good nutrients. L-lysine was an amino acid that when I was younger was promoted as helping you build bigger muscles, helping strengthen your system, your body. There he goes, right? That is not, by the way, medical advice, and there's no promise of a cure or anything. We follow all community guidelines, and the show is very much satirical. It is. Oh, by the way, if you recall, they're speaking about our good buddy Bill Gates and others who want us to eat bugs. I have a funny feeling that it could get even nastier than that. I don't know if you guys know about a movie called Soylent Green, but in this movie, it was discovered that the food that people were eating, Soylent Green, wasn't bugs. The population was put in a state of, shall we say, dietal despair. They didn't have food, so that the government came up with Soylent Green. And in the context of satire, I think this is what they really want us to eat.
They're making our food out of people. Next thing they'll be breeding us like cattle for food. gotta tell him. You gotta tell him.
Promise, Tiger. I promise. I'll tell the exchange.
You tell everybody. Listen to me, Hatcher. You gotta tell him. Silent Breed is people.
I think they're going to, I mean, they want to feed us bugs, and people are going to be like, no, we want meat. They're going to be, okay, then I guess you're going to get Soylent Green. It's going to become an issue, folks. I don't know how it can't. They're bringing down the economy. We can't get workers back to work. Some are being forced back to work. You know, take your vitamins, take your immune system boosters. But yeah, we're going to have a lot of trouble. I hope you are prepared. I hope you've taken it seriously. It is absolutely incredible. Let me give you an idea. Let's see. We have a food shortage issue, and they don't want to raise cows anymore, chickens or pigs or anything like that. They want us to just, I guess, eat ourselves. Well, how about this? Funeral director. That's a funeral director is someone who deals with dead bodies, folks. There isn't a factory where they send dead bodies. They just get turned into dust and disappear. No, they have to go to a funeral home, and a funeral director there deals with preparing the bodies. And in the United Kingdom, one funeral director has noticed something severe, and it's the increase in the number of deaths of young adults. And these young adults have gotten Jim Jones juice. But the young adult percentage has gone up 500 to 600%. Imagine a 5 times increase in the number of young adults. Isn't that fascinating? Young adults are now dying like never before in England. And they've got the Jim Jones juice. Interesting, huh? I tell you what, sounds like they've got lots of potential Soylent Green right there in the UK. And I know I'm making light of it, folks, but I think the booster rooster who sounds off every morning with "Take your Jim Jones juice." All right, I think they're doing this intentionally. I think they're taking our food down. I think they're taking our nation down, our country. It's a long-term plan, folks. This is the Great Reset. We got Mr. Skylight checking in with a $19.99 super chat donation. Thank you, Mr. Skylight. And he says this, quote, "We must love freedom more than we fear a disease." I had to change that last word because certain words are not safe to say. But go ahead and check out your screen. We must love freedom more than we fear disease. And that comes from RFK Jr. Robert F. Kennedy, brother of John F. Kennedy. We all know John F. Kennedy took a headshot in 1963, November 22nd. But shortly after that, his brother, Robert Kennedy, who was the Attorney General for JFK, RFK wanted to run for president, and he was shot and assassinated by Sirhan Sirhan. Yeah. Now, we all know that John Jr. died several years ago in an airplane crash. But RFK Jr. is still alive, and he's still fighting for the people, which is incredible. And he does not like the Jim Jones juice, folks. And he thinks that we need to love freedom more than we fear what we're told we need to be afraid of. Isn't it interesting how the government and mainstream media always wants to tell us what we should believe? Look at over there, be scared. Folks, back in the 1980s, the little booster rooster was a much younger cock. And he tried scaring the world over, wait for it, HIV. AIDS. Back in the 1980s, he was the mouthpiece for be afraid of AIDS. Quite interestingly, there is a very close connection between HIV and COVID. It exists, folks. And the Jim Jones juice. There's a big worry about the connection between all of these things and that one consistent little player that's been there all along, the booster rooster, the little cock himself. He was there in the 2000s when they started developing ideas. Oh, he knew about certain medications and their effectiveness in treatments for these diseases. In fact, I'm here to tell you right now, and by the way, thank you again, Mr. Skylight, for all you do behind the scenes and in front of the scenes. There's something about veterinary medicine that is changing the world, and I think it's certainly changing the way I look at not just cerveza bug, but the common cold itself. We have another great patriot here on the channel come down with something that seemed undeniably to be cerveza bug or something very similar to it. And they used, they got horse paste for their horse, and everything is now fine. Very interesting stuff, folks. I'm continuing to get reports of taking care of one's self. And right now we've got a great number, 833 people live. Where's it at? There it is. Up here in my corner. Up in the corner of my screen is a number of viewers live. 833 people live. That's saying a lot, folks. You guys, you give super chats, you put in questions, super chats, comments. It's your show. We stay live with near 1,000 viewers for 2 hours every Sunday, Sunday Night Live. Tune in, because we're going to talk about what happened last week and what's coming this week. And we have EB back with another super chat donation. He says, off topic, what if the name Facebook says exactly what it is, a collection or digital book of faces to be used at a later time? I don't think it's off topic at all, EB. What better way for a political regime to get enough pictures of people that they know their faces from all angles, pictures. They know where they're at, where they spend their time, geographically, as well as, shall we say, the social strata in which they engage. Right? If you go to a honky tonk, they know that you're that type of person. If you go to nightclubs, discotheques, you're that type of person. If you go to church, you're that type of person. They learn who we are, what we like, what we believe, who are the people we hang out with. To me, EB, Facebook is exactly that. It's a database building system. Now, believe it or not, folks, the Nazis had lists, incredible lists of every person in their population. They did this, folks, not with computers. They did it by hand. They knew who everyone was. They knew their nationality to the best they could. They would ask neighbors, hey, is your neighbor, are they Jews? Right? They may not have just come out and asked that. They may come up and say, hey, your neighbor, tell me about them. And they would write down what they said, put that in their file. They had centralized files on everyone in Berlin, the Nazis did. And then when it was time to round people up, they could just go knock on their door and tell them that for their safety, they need to go get on the train. It is a digital collection, EB, of the population and our thoughts. Now, they also use Facebook to control our thoughts, right, by making certain topics taboo, or at some point, and they've shown us how they're willing to incrementally upgrade their censorship. That topic is taboo. You shouldn't talk about it. Now you're getting a warning. That topic is now illegal. And now you're being canceled. Do you think that the people who have been canceled by Facebook don't go into a special list? Well, you know, Twitter allows, let's see, the Ayatollah Khomeini of Iran and other terror leaders around the world to keep their Twitter accounts open, their Facebook accounts open, their Instagram accounts are open. They can continue to talk all they want and say all the nasty shit they want. but you can't say anything about some horse medicine. You and I can't discuss the relevance of political activity and voting. We're not allowed to discuss that. You're not allowed to have an opinion anymore. That's what they want to do, folks. They want to stop your opinions from being shared. At the same time, they want to build a database of the opinions that you're sharing. So it's funny, they keep it up, even though they're acting like they're afraid of Facebook. But they do. They control a lot of thought. They put the information out there. The mainstream media does. You're only allowed to talk about parts of it on Facebook. And so we're silenced. We're censored. We're held in ignorance. And that's, again, why I say I wish everybody to go over to Patreon, where it's a $2 a month subscription. And it just goes month to month. $2 a month is it. And you get a whole lot more than the censored information that's allowed out here through YouTube. Right? There's videos there that are hosted other places where real medicine is discussed, where real politics is discussed, and there's no fear of being censored. That's what Patreon is, folks. It's a chance and a place where you can take off the blinders and get the spotlight of truth put on everything. All righty. And speaking of this, folks, I don't know, have you heard? Whoa, we got Jennifer checking in. Jennifer Stevens with a $19.99 super chat donation. And thank you very much, Jennifer. What she has to say is, I'm so pissed the truckers in Canada are not getting the news coverage they deserve. How do you think this will end with Trudeau in hiding and long-term supply chain issues? Number one, I agree with you, and I am pissed. Maybe you're more pissed, but I'm royally pissed. This is huge, folks. Thousands, tens of thousands. In the case of Ottawa, about, I don't know, tens of thousands, 50,000 people have lined the streets. Entire cities are coming out to greet these truckers as they spend their time, gas, vehicles, including semi-trucks, only have so many miles on them before they have to be replaced, worn out and replaced. So they're putting their entire lives on the line to do this, to make a political message. And the media, mainstream media, is not covering it. Justin Trudeau is hiding, literally hiding in isolation, which isn't required and not even suggested as a way to do anything. There are long-term supply issues over the requirement for the Jim Jones juice in order to cross the border, in order to do anything. See, it's getting quite out of hand, not just in Canada, here in the United States. Many cities like San Francisco, New York City, Chicago, you've got to have proof that you've been fully juicinated. Proof before you're allowed into a store or a restaurant or a gym, public places. That's not freedom, folks. That's beyond fascism. It's beyond. I'm really pissed about that. As far as supply chain issues, I think it's terrible, Jennifer. It is going to cause supply chain issues. These people can't get a job done. Canada sends a lot of products into America. America sends a lot of products, including food, into Canada. That's being interrupted. It's being interrupted. We're going to see, you and I, we'll be the ones ahead of the game, folks. Jennifer, Michael, Bonnie, you name it. We're going to be the ones who watch the game play out way ahead of time. The shelves get more bare. The shelves get empty. We've heard complaints for months and months, folks, about new vehicles not being able to be sold because they don't have computer chips. Right? People are hanging on to old cars and repairing them now because they can't get new cars. That's a supply chain issue. Food prices going up. Is that because the currency is ruined? Modern monetary theory, MMT, or is where they're printing a lot of money, or is it because there's a lack of supply and it's causing issues, or is it everything all contributing to this problem? These are all being created by political decisions, folks. Once again, Denmark, England, Ireland, Czech Republic, the state of Florida. Everyone is completely 100%, no regulations, no restrictions, no masks, no mandates. And if you tune in, folks, not to the mainstream media, but if you tune into what the people are saying on the street, you'll hear about it. I talk to people from all over the country all the time. I talk to people from Florida. They act in Florida, folks, like there's no problem. They're totally indifferent to what's going on, while other people in states and countries are being told that basically they have no rights and they better be scared for their life over this cerveza bug nonsense. Which one is reality? Which one is political? When we learn that youth deaths, young adults are dying at a 500 to 600% increase, what is causing that? What has changed? Well, what has changed, folks, is the way government treats its people and the mandates that they're having to exist under. Sounds like a health crisis. It's political in its manufacture. Let us move on if we shall, because we've got other manufactured political crap. We've got Jules Lackney checking in with a $4.99 super chat donation, and your super chats, folks, your super chats keep cans of spam in the pantry, keep me well fed, keep the lights on in the bunker. It's not luxury living here, folks. Essentially, it's a chair, it's a bed, it's a kitchen, but it's my life and I love it. I want to thank you guys for supporting it so that I can do this job. I always felt my job in life was going to be important, that I was going to somehow change the world in a positive way. And I had kids, love my sons as much as any father could, if not more. Love them. Thought that was a great way I'm going to save the world, right? Have some good kids. But doing the work on this channel, even though it started as I got an opinion and I just want to get it out there and people can decide for themselves. I got some ideas and maybe it'll help. It has now become a mission for me, a life mission, to wake as many people up as I can to the threats to liberty and our lives. And now that cerveza bug has come out, now that SHTF is a big, big deal, and we're seeing the true colors of people like Trudeau and Biden, like Boris Johnson and Obama. I'm seeing who the real enemies are, folks. And they're right in our faces. We got Jules Lockney does this. Came down with the bug 3 weeks ago. Gave his horse some horse paste. Took horse paste and an antibody infusion and felt completely better 2 days later. Even went out and cut my grass. I'm sure, folks, you can all see what Jules Lockney is discussing, right? Good veterinary medicine is a great practice to keep your horse healthy, as strong as a horse, right? Isn't that, healthy as a horse? Funny, I mean, we had these sayings, well, they're at least American idioms, healthy as a horse, strong as a horse, built like a horse. And yeah, healthy as a horse because of horse medicine. Horses and horse paste, folks. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. We've had other people come on here and share the same information. I myself have given lots of horse paste to my horses, folks. And I feel as healthy as a horse because of horse paste. We've got nothing to fear, nothing to worry about. Your super chat donations, folks, once again, keep us going. And here we've got Apocalypse Ben 3311. Semper Fi, man. He says a $2 super chat. He says, we're in World War III. It's here and many don't see it. Hard to disagree with you because I know what you're saying. World War III, folks. Is it nuclear? Is it conventional? World War III has started. SHTF. It is a world war. It is a psychological war. It is an information war. It is a war over communication. It is a war for our minds. The war has started. It is to convince you to stop fighting. See, that's what all wars are about, is getting one side to give up, to admit defeat, and to sue for peace. So let me get into it this way. In World War II, Japan surrendered to the United States of America, and they sued for peace in order to get the United States of America to quit killing Japanese soldiers and Japanese civilians. They had to admit defeat. Now, when a war is over, that's not it. You have to agree to terms, the terms of peace. Right? I think after World War I, they had the Treaty of Versailles. Was that World War II or was it both? Anyways, that was Europe. But with Japan, they had to sue for peace. They had to agree to certain things, like they weren't allowed to have an army or a navy. They weren't allowed to do certain things. They had to pay certain money back, certain monies. They had to pay for your failure. You have to agree to the terms that the victor puts on you, right? Just because you say, I quit, I surrender, doesn't mean you get to say, and all we're going to do, right, is supply whatever it is Japan supplies, cheap automobiles until the 1980s when the prices go up. That's not what they sued. They are told this is what you will deal with. So now let's move on to World War III. Today, the people are at war with their own governments. Around the world, your own government is at war with you. And they're trying to get you to surrender. They're attacking with information. They're attacking psychologically. They're attacking us by taking our communications down. They're attacking our ability to communicate. That's what the censorship is about. It's an attack on me. It's an attack on you to take your ability to communicate information, to think. People don't even see it as the war. And if you surrender to them, they don't even know they're fighting a war. But if you surrender to the government, the way you do it is by agreeing to obey to their terms, their edicts, their rules, their mandates, their demands. That's like being sued. It's like, okay, I quit. I'll do whatever you want. I just want to be free. Well, in order to be free, according to the government, you have to be less free. You have to go get the Jim Jones juice. You have to put your diaper on your face. You have to go out and criticize anyone who hasn't surrendered yet. Right? That's the terms of surrender with your government, is to obey it in all things, not question anything, quit thinking, and punish others. And in other words, you have to join their side and continue with the attacks on people who refuse to surrender. Yeah, World War III is upon us. It doesn't mean that EMPs will not be used. It doesn't mean that hypersonic missiles won't be used. It doesn't mean that there won't be tanks, troops, and guns on the streets in certain areas of the world. It doesn't mean, right, that nuclear weapons won't be used. All those things can still happen, but they're part of the overall war on liberty. German people have some liberty, and they're losing it. Australians had more liberty because they're based on English common law. They have lost it altogether. Same with New Zealand. Canada, not far behind. The United States, it's pretty hammered on. Freedom, folks. All governments are trying to take their people's freedom from them. Japan, you bet. They're hurting. China, yeah, they got Chinese communists in charge of their country. They're hurting. This is a war of governments on people, psychologically, informationally, intellectually, and communicatively. All of those ways they're doing it. And here's an example of how they continue. Thank you, Apocalyptic Ben 3311. Do you see the war, folks? Do you see who your enemy combatants are? And the area of combat is intellectual. chance favors the prepared mind. If the war is for your mind, a prepared mind provides defense against them in this war. But here's an example. And we're doing great holding it 855 people live at over 90 minutes. The President of the United States can't go 9 minutes, folks. He can't go 9 minutes, period. Let's just say he goes 5 minutes. He starts rambling on, making zero sense, making up stories, lying, whispering into the microphone like, if I talk about this, I'm going to get in trouble. I mean, what the hell is this guy talking about? And my patience is wearing thin with you people. Unbelievable. So the war for your mind. You know about this thing called the Constitution. You know about this thing called equal rights. That equal is not the same as equitable. Equality is not equity. The law is the law. And we're not supposed to discriminate, especially the government. So last week, the President of the United States, Xi Biden, said that he's going to be the president who nominates the first black woman to the Supreme Court. Well, Alan Dershowitz, attorney of O.J. Simpson fame, has continued to make a name for himself in the legal field by making statements. Basically, what he said in this case is Biden's plan for a black female pick on the Supreme Court may be unconstitutional. And this is what he went on to point out. The Constitution, Article 6, specifically provides that no religious test should ever be required. I think that applies for all things in this country, folks, not just the Supreme Court of the United States. He goes on to say, Dershowitz does, that he says, I think the 14th and 19th Amendments also extend to no racial or gender tests. Should we or should we not be surprised that Xi Biden would go so far as to threaten the Constitution in yet a new way? They're continuing to introduce this idea, folks, that the government can violate the Constitution, as if the Constitution and the restrictions placed in it were for us to follow. Read the Constitution, folks, and you're going to find that all the rules in it apply to the government, restrict the government, regulate the government, not the people. It tells the government how to think of us. It tells the government how to behave. It doesn't tell us how to behave. And it doesn't tell us what to think. Incredible stuff, folks. Yeah, the Biden administration once again showing they don't give a crap about the Constitution. We got Mark the Prepared Klingon with a 1.79 pound super chat donation. He says, SHTF, who will suffer the most, Americans or the European Union? It's a very interesting question. And I wonder why you brought it up. Who's going to suffer most, Americans or the European Union? You know, is that a political question? Is it a economic question? Is it a military question? Is it a personal thing? I think we can ask that question across the board, and we should ask that question. Americans love to say we're the land of the free and the home of the brave. Right? That's not something the European Union ever says about itself. Right? So we're losing. We have the most to lose because we're supposed to have the most freedom. So when you say who will suffer the most, well, America and our beloved Constitution is suffering the most in SHTF because we're having our freedoms and liberties curbed and curb stomped. Now, the European Union was supposed to be an economic alliance between its member nations or member states, if you will. It wasn't supposed to be a political alliance, but a financial alliance, an economic alliance, a monetary alliance. So you could say that the European Union could suffer more than the United States. The European Union is taking diverse cultures, economies, and countries who have different values, different production, and trying to put them in the same pot to homogenize them. And it's failing miserable. It's a failure of an economy. The United States, on the other hand, while it's failing, it still has the world reserve currency, the US dollar. It still has great advantage over the European Union financially because of that, monetarily because of that. So you could say the EU is going to fail. But I think what's important to note is that all areas of life, in all areas of life, Mark, we're all going to suffer tremendously. Right? It'd be like coming out of a torture chamber, a Nazi torture chamber, and you drag your sorry body as if it were a carcass back to your room after taking a beating from your betters, the political bosses. So you're in a Nazi camp and you get the shit beaten out of you. You go back to your bunk and sit on it. And your roommate comes over and sits on his bunk. He just got out of the torture chamber being beaten. And you start comparing notes. Like, well, you know, they put my hand on a table and smashed it with a hammer. The other guy says, yeah, well, I got both my hands smashed. It's like, oh, folks, it doesn't matter whether you have one hand smashed with a hammer or both hands smashed with a hammer. If you get your hand smashed with a hammer, you're really screwed up, right? Well, how many times did you get kicked in the stomach by your Nazi master? Oh, gee, it was at least 6. I lost count. The other guy's like, oh, wow, yeah, you got messed up. I only got kicked twice, right? I didn't black out after 6 kicks to the stomach from not having enough air. The reason I'm talking like this, folks, suffering, right? Physical suffering. How about antagonizing, right? Intellectual suffering. You know, in the United States, we like to pretend like, well, we have the freedom of press. And over in the EU, they've got very much controlled and censored press. Well, the United States isn't far behind. In fact, we may be leading now in the loss of our media, the right to free speech. I think we're all suffering. I think we're all going to continue to suffer. I think we're all going to be brought down to essentially the same state. It doesn't matter whether you had 100 freedoms or 50 freedoms that you could point to and say, this is how lucky I was. This is my fortune, my wealth, my value. I had 50 freedoms. And the other guy says, I had 100 freedoms. Well, when you've had all of your freedoms removed, all of your rights removed, the common denominator that everyone will share is 0. Whether you had 50 and you have 0, or whether you're at 100 and you have 0, you're suffering a 100% loss of the life that you once knew. We're all going to suffer, Mark. Moving on, we got Have True Faith checking in with a 556 super chat donation. And your super chat donations, folks, are very much appreciated, very much needed, wanted. And then what comes along with those super chat donations is your thoughts and questions. We have True Faith says, if we do something in Ukraine, you thinking possible for Russia to attack the East Coast, CCP West Coast, and invasion force for Mexico while busy in Ukraine? Oh, the old rope-a-dope attack. It is very possible. I'm going to go with this. Yeah. If the United States and NATO go into Ukraine and start playing games with the Russians, there is a chance that Russia could attack the East Coast or the West Coast. I mean, you put Chinese Communist Party West Coast, CCP West Coast, I got it. But just Russia alone can do East Coast or West Coast, because Russia, the country of Russia actually touches the Pacific Ocean just north of Japan, right there next to Alaska, just north of China. They have an incredible military and an incredible navy. They could be sending troops and equipment to Ukraine. And they could also be sending troops and equipment to the east coast of Russia. But let's consider more. What can Russia do? Russia can come right up and over the top of the North Pole and then right back down into America. This has always been a Cold War threat. That's why they had huge defense networks throughout Canada in the north, as well as Alaska, to detect missile attacks. It's a very quick route straight across the North Pole and down. It's a very quick attack for Russia if they wanted to go that way. As far as invading from Mexico, it's very possible also that all of the communist countries in Central and South America could send military personnel up through Mexico. Yeah, and our military is not what it used to be. It's not what it used to be. It's been neutered. It's being emasculated. They've chased patriots out by calling them extremists, white supremacists. They have a woke culture now in the military, and they're trying to destroy it. Yeah. So what military we have if we send a lot of our fighting men over to Ukraine, and start fighting in a European theater? Yeah, we won't have what we have for the rest of our country. Now we have the Marine Corps and Army on both coasts and both borders, but it doesn't mean, right, that we would be able to withstand an onslaught. Remember, China has essentially 5 to 6 times the population of the United States of America. That's a lot of people. Russia, not as big as the United States population-wise, but they're much fiercer. It's incredible stuff. Now, Darcy is checked in with a super chat donation through PayPal and wants to add a little more to what EB was saying. She says, to add to what EB was saying, the large corporations were requiring people to turn on their cameras during Zoom calls. My guess is that everyone's digital face print was recorded so they could Palantir us, basically Palantir Technologies. Yeah, it really is there. The technology exists, folks, to control us. The technology exists to build a database. The technology exists for use in ways I don't think that we understand yet. I'm really wondering about this claim by the government and by people like Bill Gates and others who have promised us that human beings and human intelligence will combine with computer technology, AI, and that we're gonna become some sort of hybridized being, right? To me, it's an abomination. This idea that they have, and if you would look up Palantir Technologies, I think it'd be worth your time to read about Palantir, Palantir. It is mind-numbing what they want to do. Merging humanity with a cyber world, putting everything about you and who we are into a database that everyone else can access and have. You lose all sense of individuality, personal identity, while at the same time you can be personally destroyed. Right? It's not a pretty world what they're shooting for, what they're gunning for. The question came up again the other day. the question, the comment. And it was, well, the people that are taking the Jim Jones juice are the Democrats, largely people who don't seem to be thinking already, who aren't out with jobs and paying taxes. A lot of the entitlement class likes their entitlements, and they're voting for these Democrats, and now they're lining up to take the Jim Jones juice. They're lining up to be good little commies and socialists. And if we're all correct, their health could be very much compromised, and they could disappear, right? If the funeral director is correct in UK that people are going to begin dying at greater rates. If other doctors and experts are correct, you know, what can we say? What can we do? They're killing their own people. You know, what's the point of that? And then whoever's left, well, you know, that's people who want freedom and liberty, and so they're killing their own people off and leaving those who are going to fight them for liberty and freedom again. It's a thought and a question I've had is, you know, what kind of enemy kills his own people off? What, so they can be defeated by us? Or do they believe that they can use these computer programs and this mergence with organic life and artificial intelligence using their Palantir and other assorted technologies? They can do that and use that to control us. You know, those of us that are left alive. You know, I don't know which program they're shooting for, folks. Whether they think they're creating superhumans with their, you know, their Jim Jones juice, whether they think they're creating a superior species, I don't know. Anyways, you got Uman checking in. He says, a $5 super chat from Greg Madere. He says, my fully juicinated sister died on a ventilator today, and her hubby, same juice status, is in critical care as well. Warned them. I'm going to digest that. Thank you again, Darcy. And look up Palantir Technologies, everyone. Important stuff. Now, switching over to Uman. Yep. You just kind of made the point here, Oliver. I'm seeing and hearing reports that people who have taken the Jim Jones juice are getting sick. They're ending up hospitalized. They're not feeling as well. They're not able to combat the common cold. They're not able to combat other health issues as quickly. You know, this doesn't bode well for them. One of my fears, folks, is we're going to have a population of zombie-like humans. Now, I know when I feel under the weather, which has been for 2 days since 2014, I've kind of felt under the weather. Maybe more than that, just a few days here and there, but I haven't been sick. But I remember being sick as a dog. And you almost feel like you want to die. But you're slow, you can't think clearly. I've had a fever so high, folks, that I thought my eyes were burning. You know, they're just dry from being so hot and they evaporate. And it's terrible, right? You can't see straight, you can't think straight, you can't breathe, you have no energy, you're lethargic, you're weak. You lay around, you moan, you groan. It sounds like a zombie, doesn't it? Zombies moan, zombies groan. They can't see real well. They're kind of slow mentally, but they have one thought in mind. Eat other people's brains, kill other people's brains, turn other people into zombies like them. You know, are they willing to allow the entire human population to go through this cycle? Are they? Are they willing to put part of the population into this zombie pool and to scare others? Are they thinking that they can create a human artificial intelligence hybrid set of beings and civilization? What the hell are these people up to? They make no sense. I mean, to give you an idea, no sense. And thank you again for the great super chat donations. Super chat, super chat, super chat. You guys are awesome. Whether it's Cash App or PayPal or through right up here, the super chat button with YouTube. It all adds up and it all pays the bills. But when it comes to what is it that these people are doing, right? I just said, well, the Democrats are getting their people to be afraid of Cerveza bug and then scream and yell at everyone else for not being afraid. And it looks like they're killing off their own people. Well, CNN, the mainstream media, seems to be doing the same thing. They're trying to control their people, scare their people, but they're scaring people away from their network. They're killing themselves once again. Mainstream media is a laughingstock. ABC, NBC, CBS. Even Fox is suffering tremendously for lying and screwing the American people over. CNN claimed to be the most trusted name in news. Now they're the most laughable name in news. And you know what they're doing to make it even worse? There was a panel on CNN, including Potato Boy Brian Setzer. This panel has now basically said Joe Rogan's millions of listeners are stupid. They're rubes. They're morons. You know, it's incredible that CNN, who is 1/10 of the size of Joe Rogan, feels that they're going to win all of their viewers back by insulting Joe Rogan's people. How many people do you think listened to Joe Rogan 10 years ago, listened to CNN? Or 20 years ago would tune into CNN in the evening to see what was going on around the world? How many people 30 years ago, before it was the Clinton News Network, right, watched CNN? And they have, over the year, every year, scared people away. And then if you want perspective and you want opinion and you want some facts, certainly to get something different than what the mainstream media is doing, you tune into Joe Rogan. Or you tune into the Prepared Mind Network, which covers all channels, folks. The Prepared Mind Network is great. With the R Syndicate, the R Syndicate is actually a bigger network because it's all channels going through the rsyndicate.com. That's Uman's channel. Check it out if you want to know about all the other prepping ideas, whether it's building a fire or building a house or building, I don't know, a self-defense tool. How to can, how to harvest, everything, right? Prepping, everything, getting prepared for the crap that's coming. Anyways, CNN, yeah, they're doing the same thing with their viewers that Democrats are doing with their voters. They're doing all they can to get rid of them. Unbelievable what we have. When speaking of what we have just a few minutes left here in our 2-hour Sunday Night Live. As long as you have super chats coming in, I'll stay past the 2 hours. That's always the cutoff point. I'm like 2 hours unless we have more super chats donation. The day is coming, folks. Right? The day is coming when the rest of the world is going to wake up 100%. We need to be ahead of that, way ahead of it. And we got Marilyn Myers checking in with a $9.99 super chat donation. Thank you, Marilyn. And this is what she has to say. Say the next Supreme Court nominee is picked based on gender or race instead of qualifications. And I shudder at what the institution would become. If not Kamala Harris, vice president, what about SA wannabe gov? SA's wannabe gov. What is SA wannabe gov? I'm drawing a blank. What is SA? Help me out here because I keep thinking about Kamala Harris. There was a woman named, and she is black, a black American, one of the candidates. I see so much, I'm going to use this word loosely, positive for politics in the idea that Kamala Harris could be named as a Supreme Court justice to get her out of the hot seat, the vice president's chair, so the Democrat Party could put someone they want into her chair as vice president. And again, the name Hillary comes up. I just see a lot of value in that. I see a lot of value in that politically for the Democrats. I can't see how I can see them getting a lot more value there. One second. Okay. Oh my God. Are you kidding me? Valerie Rogers says Stacey Abrams, wannabe governor of Georgia. Stacey Abrams, to me, is demonstrably the exact thing that the Democrats are. They are slovenly. They are poorly spoken individuals. They seem to be intellectually brain dead. Stacey Abrams is a big mouth. I can't say anything nice about the woman. I can't say anything nice about her at all. I think she's a hack. I think she's a mouthpiece. I think she's a sellout. I think she is a horrible example of what an American political candidate should be. I think any political candidate, regardless of party, should look to the Constitution first, right, as the source of law and authority under which governors and politicians act. And I think she's horrible. I think everything about it now is terrible. Stacey Abrams, I don't think she would make a good candidate. I don't think she has the qualifications. And don't get mad at me. I don't think she has the qualifications that Kamala Harris has. Now let's talk about Kamala Harris's qualifications. She is a lawyer. She was the Attorney General for the state of California, basically the lead prosecutor in California. So they can say that she has the political experience and legal understanding to sit in that chair. She is Kamala Harris, the vice president, and she can claim that she has the worldliness to serve as a Supreme Court justice. I mean, I think both of them are just absolutely awful. I wouldn't consider them for a local school board appointment or election, much less Supreme Court justice. That really is terrible to even consider. I mean, as I was reading that, I was like, I can't even digest that question. I really think that maybe we've just read too much into it, thinking that they really are shrewd and that they plan ahead and that they would do what used to be known as a Chinese fire drill, which is where you get to a stoplight, everyone gets out of the car and they run around and switch seats and then get back in a car before the light turns green. That they're doing this in the White House, that they're going to do a Chinese fire drill and poof, right? Kamala Harris is going to get up. She's going to run over here. She's going to be a Supreme Court nominee. They're going to bring Hillary in. Then Biden, he's going to quit. Then Hillary's going to be president. And then someone else will be appointed as vice president. We'll forget about that forever. And then Hillary starts to act presidential for the next 2 years so that in 2024 she can run against Trump. And we got that game going on, right? I think we might be giving them too much credit for doing something that would work, right? I think that would actually be better than any other political scenario with regard to the Democrat Party. Like, who is going to run for president in 2024 for the Democrats? Joe again? Is he going to be alive? Is he going to be coherent? I mean, is Dr. Jill, his wife, going to feed him applesauce while he's at the podium, debating? In fact, the Republicans have decided they're not even going to debate the next presidential candidate, whether it's Joe Biden or anyone else. They claim to have finally learned their lesson that the commission for presidential debates has been a sham and a shit show so long now that they can't be trusted to give the American people a good look at who the candidates are. And of course, we know the mainstream media is completely in the pocket of the Democrat Party, the deep state, the globalists, etc. So we're never going to ever really get to hear from any other candidate other than the one that they prefer. They don't even want to have a two-party system in America anymore, folks. They don't want to have a two-party system anywhere on the planet. They want a one-party system with their globalist appointed leadership. It's getting to be a lot of trouble to pay everyone off, to pay this person to say one thing and that person to say another and that person to give up or make an ass out of themselves, take that money and go away. It would just be easier if there was one candidate in every country to control. All right, we got Red Pill Files checking in with a 556 super chat donation. He says this: Elon Musk tweeted the following a few days ago. Quote, CB radios are free from government and media control. Does he suggest power grid internet is going down? Elon Musk is an interesting character who's continuing to say surprising things. Basically, I think he called President Biden a damp sock puppet. Unbelievable. Yeah, if he says CB radios are free from government and media control, I think what he is suggesting more than the internet and the grid is going down is that if you want to get information uncensored, government control, media control, uncensored, you're going to have to go to something that is completely free of any control by them. CB stands for Citizens Band. It's a band or a range of frequencies which people can use unlicensed, unrestricted. Well, there's some restrictions. The amount of power output you can have, I believe, is well under 10 watts. While a radio station broadcasts at 50,000 watts, individual people are only allowed to broadcast with a handful of wattage. Still, I think that's what he is saying. Now, to suggest that the power grid and the internet is going down, I would read that as a second tier part of his question. He's like, hey, you know, you may want to think about this, get a CB. You may want to think about getting a CB. You might want to do that, right? You might want to do that. You might want to get some radios. This here is a Midland radio CB, right? You might want to do that. So you have the way or a way to communicate with people within your range. Once again, Citizens Band and handheld radios have a limited range. Shortwave radio, limited range. Everything's limited, right? Ham radios, they often require repeater stations. Repeater stations can be unpowered, unplugged. They can be shut down. But what was discovered down in Cuba just a few months ago, when the people of Cuba were rising up against their dictator-like government, the government was not doing what the people wanted. The people started to revolt. They started to protest, and the government broadcasts scrambled, interfered with the radio waves so people couldn't communicate with themselves and with each other. So government can make communication control or communication difficult, even if you have CBs. So we need to be aware of that, folks. Do your very best. Get prepared. I like having ham radio. I like having CB. But for the time being, right, the most effective communication tools are the internet, cell phones. But expect those to be a big problem if we have a nasty activity, a nasty action. Take care. We the People checks in with a $1.99 super chat donation. He says, 2 New York registered nurses made $1.5 million selling fake passports for cerveza for the Jim Jones juice. $1.5 million. I saw the headline on this. The nurses both look like sisters. They both didn't look very good. I guess that's what happens when you get mug shots. Funny how they'll arrest a nurse for $1.5 million in phony passports, a form of identification, but they won't arrest Antifa and BLM for creating tens of millions of dollars in lost revenue, taxes, and direct loss of goods in services and stores. Go to New York City, folks. Go down Fifth Avenue. Tour Manhattan and take a look at all the boarded up stores and destroyed businesses. Look at the murder rates of New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, how people are fleeing those areas, the property or real estate values tanking. And they're worried about two nurses selling fake Jim Jones juice passports. There's your priority, right? Thank you very much, We the People, for the great super chat donation. Expect more trouble coming from the powers that be. They do not like, folks, they do not like us finding ways around the system, the way they want to go. We've got NFK, 2Killer, $10 super chat donation. He says, my local news station reports the new deaths from cerveza bug every night and their Jim Jones juice status. Lately, it's been 55% Jim Jones juice to 45% pure blood. Yet the hospital is 90% full of what? Of the unjuicinated. I call BS. It is a pandemic of the fully juicinated. Okay, now here's what's interesting. What he's pointing out here is the local news station reports things and then obfuscates things, right? If you're given a set of statistics and facts that start to contradict themselves, you know that there's a political message, that there's propaganda, that there's control, and yes, it's part of World War III. If they can confuse us totally, well, it's basically half and half of people, right? It's ridiculous. How can it be half and half and then be almost all one? Now, in England, their numbers were significant. England, the UK, over there where our good buddy, well, we got a lot of good buddies over in England. Over in England, they have for months been saying that it is the Jim Jones juicinated who are in the hospitals more, and the Jim Jones juicinated are dying, right? And that normal people who have their own immune systems are better off. And then they go so far as to say, that's it, we're done. No more regulations, no more rules, no more masks, no more mandates. We're done with it in jolly old England. Stephen Connolly, you're safe. So once they start reporting and the people start learning, you and I, as we spread the word that, hey, the people that are in the hospitals are the ones who have gotten Jim Jones juice. They're the ones getting sick. They're the ones in the hospital. They're the ones dying, right? We are not the problem. That's the problem. As America wakes up, then America can say, okay, we're done with it. No more mandates, no more masks, no more rules, no more regulations. Just like England, Ireland, Denmark, Sweden, just like Czech Republic and other countries that have stepped away from this and they're just backing away. It's not working, right? Their pandemic isn't working. Their solution isn't working. The people are tired of their freedoms being stomped on in a lot of places, while other places have doubled down, tripled down, quadrupled down. Australia, New Zealand, Canada, America. You would think that our common law, our freedom, our rights that we talk about and hold so dear would be strongest in these countries. But they're actually failing horribly. It's great to see that England and Ireland are at the front of this emergence of intelligent understanding. But here we are again, NFK2 killer. He says, my local news station is reporting deaths every night. Now, if I turn on mainstream news where I'm at, oh, you would think that cerveza bug has taken over the world because it still dominates the news cycle. But if I go out on the street, it's not a problem at all. In fact, if you wear a mask, people just kind of point and snicker. They're like, that's one of them people. Okay, that guy's an idiot. That lady's dumb. And there you have it. You know, but the reporting of numbers is always going to contrast with a political program, the propaganda that's out there. Always going to be conflict there, because mainstream media is not here to give us the facts. They're not here to tell us what's really happening. They're here to tell us what they want us to believe. And it's what makes that more nefarious or more worse than what I do is you know what I want you to believe. I'm honest about it. I want you to believe in freedom, and I want you to be prepared. The news pretends to be objective. The news pretends to be unbiased. The mainstream media and their news, they pretend like it's fact. They pretend like it's truth. They pretend like it is sanctimoniously perfect. I made that word up, right? They pretend that. And so it makes not only what they're saying a lie, it's beyond a lie, right? I'm not trying to get you to do anything other than be free and be prepared. The information I give you, you can disregard, you can use, but I recommend you research it. Find out if I'm telling the truth. Find out if I'm quoting facts, or if I'm just, you know, I don't know, just as bad as the mainstream media. But I'm not telling you that I think cops should be at your door and that they should do medical procedures to you and your children. I'm not saying you should be locked up in a prison. I'm not saying that you should lose your job or that your social status should be destroyed because of your belief system. We got Brad Junes checking in with a $2 super chat donation, and it's a super sticker. Thank you, Brad Junes. Longtime supporter who's here from week to week. Thanks again, Brad, and many of you are, folks. I want to thank you all for your support here of the Prepared Mind channel, the network, whether you're watching on the Prepared Mind BC, or John the Prepared Mind. We're simulcasting on all 3 stations live right now. Don't forget there are backup channels, folks. If they take John off of the Prepared Mind, you could get Jim or Roger on the other backup channel, or John the Prepared Mind backup channel, if I have to take a little time out. We got Greg Madere checking in with a $5 super chat donation, and he says, John, read today that the airlines are letting illegals fly with arrest warrants anywhere they want to go. Your thoughts? This has been a little mysterious, this idea. I've read about it, that illegal aliens can use an arrest warrant as a form of identification to get on a plane. And it boggled my mind. It boggled my mind. And I thought, how does that make any sense? I thought, well, for that to make sense, there needs to be an arresting officer with them. The arresting officer uses his badge and identification as proof of who he is to get on the plane. And he's also now a law enforcement babysitter for the illegal alien with an arrest warrant, and that's his identification to get onto the plane. So he has what I would say a qualified chaser. A chaser being a law enforcement person that makes sure the arrested individual gets to where they need to go, kind of like an armed escort. That made sense for me. All of a sudden, I'm like, okay, that makes some kind of sense. Using an arrest warrant as a form of identification. But you said that they can just get on planes and fly wherever they want. Or is that different? That, you know, and then we've got these other news stories out here that in the middle of the night, illegal aliens are being flown around the country, and they're basically going wherever they want, or wherever the government wants them to go. The Biden administration is denying it. there were some policemen wearing body cameras, and that footage was released to the public where some law enforcement were talking to each other, asking, what the hell is going on here? Who are these people? What are they doing? And it's like, how is this happening? Where I can't go get on a plane without someone sticking a finger in my ass and demanding that I provide identification, while people can illegally come into the country, be given a handful of money and a plane ticket as an illegal alien. They can fly wherever they want. And then if you're a criminal and there's an arrest warrant for you, you can fly wherever you need to go. It's no problem. It's mind-boggling to me. It's ridiculous at this point. You know, I do know that the Border Patrol have had it with Biden's Border Patrol chief, because they're failing to do their job. They're not being given the tools and the money that they need, right? They're being screwed over. The Border Patrol, police everywhere. I don't know why police are continuing to enforce any sort of law unless they themselves are Democrats and they like all this crap that's happening. There's zero respect for Biden by any law enforcement that's asked. The world has gone absolutely fucking nuts, folks, right? The University of Nebraska changed their mascot because the screwball leftists have convinced people that the hand gesture that their mascot had means white power. Basically, he was like, hey, okay, that was like part of the thing, right? This Nebraska mascot had the okay symbol. Well, now he has the index finger up, right? Well, the index finger up means I'm number one or you're number one. It could also mean let's go branded. It could also mean whites are number one because their mascot is white, right? The list of stupid woke potential is everywhere, folks. It's endless. What is the government going to do next? What ridiculous policy is coming next? That illegals, if they show up in your town, you have to give your house to them? And you have to let them stay there? You have to give them your car? Can your bank account be seized and the money just taken by the government because of something? You know, why doesn't the University of Nebraska change the color of their mascot from white to brown or green, for Pete's sake? Just so that, you know, we just take away all of their objections to life. And folks, shit has hit the fan, literally. It's hit the fan and nothing makes any sense anymore, right? Nothing makes any sense until you listen to someone from another country. And thank you again for the great super chat donations. But listening to other country, right? The president of Ukraine has now come out and basically bitch slaps Biden after yesterday's phone call having to do with Russia and Ukraine and the Donbass ceasefire, you know, because CNN lied or Biden lied, or they both lied about Biden warning the Ukraine about an imminent attack from the Russians. He said, and the guy says, right, that the president of Ukraine says, I think I know the details better. Unbelievable, right? His country, he and his country had just agreed to maintain the ceasefire while Biden in America warns of an imminent attack. CNN reports it and everyone tries denying it. They look like complete asses. Folks, they look like complete asses all the time, but it only becomes apparent when you point out the difference or the distinction between the dumb shit that the liberals are saying and the media is saying and Hollywood is saying and actual logistical, critical thinking, intelligent thought, right? You put any form of intelligence and weigh it against the Democrats, they look crazy. But sadly, these crazy people are in charge. They're letting illegal immigrants in our country, giving them money, flying them around. Even if they have an arrest warrant, they appear to be able to travel wherever they need to go. It doesn't make any sense. What they're doing to the military makes no sense. What they're doing to our money, our monetary system, doesn't make sense. What they're doing politically makes absolutely no sense. With voting, the voting makes no sense. The education makes no sense. Unless the objective is to destroy the United States of America. To completely dehumanize and demoralize the American people with their ridiculous cerveza bug and Jim Jones juice nonsense. Truly, folks, it's hit the fan. We are looking, as far as I'm concerned, at a eugenics program, a system designed and cut loose on us to destroy nations and populations, our health, our complete systems. It's a great reset. I think they want to wipe the board clean. And with whatever human population is left at the end of it, go about rebuilding a brave new world. I don't know what's coming for sure, folks. I just know that I like life. I like living free, and I don't like being sick. And I don't like anyone telling me what to do. Please get ready, get prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and a plan. I've got a lot more topics to talk about, folks, but I am whipped tired. You guys have kept me an extra 20 minutes, which is fine. That's what we do. You got super chats, I'll answer them the best I can, give you my ideas and thoughts, help you formulate your own, but your super chats, don't just give me mental exercise. You're waking people up because you put in your questions, your thoughts. Other people hear that. They're like, hey, this just isn't John talking. These are the thoughts of other people. And they want to get those thoughts out there, those ideas, those concepts. They want to ask those questions. And that is why you are so powerful. You're powerful on this show. You're powerful on any show. You're powerful as an individual. You have email contacts, phone contacts, work contacts, family contacts, friend contacts. Social media, folks, is only part of the social paradigm that we live in. We are free individuals, and we can talk to and communicate with whoever we want. Now, of course, they're telling us they're going to stop that. They're going to create a social credit score system to silence you, as well as jab you in the ass, as well as affect your job, your future, your retirement, your family, and everything. That's all they have is threats, folks. Oh, and they're good for their threats. They act on them. Just ask the protesters from January 6th that are still in jail. The government's now willing to act on their propaganda and their desire to destroy. It's just, what do you value more, your life or your liberty? That's a big question. Life or liberty? What do you value more? A lot of people say, my life, man, my life is the most important thing. For me, not really. What good is a life if you're not free? What good is a life if you can't enjoy it? What good is a life if you're not healthy? Right? What good is that life? Got a lot more to think about, folks. And it's Sunday Night Live. That means tomorrow morning is Monday. And on Patreon, Monday morning, I'm going to wake up, yawn a couple times, fry up a couple pieces of Spam, drink a cup of coffee, read the news and go, Jiminy Crickets, I can't believe that shit. And the week starts. I'll put out videos. I'll talk to you. We'll do Q&A. But for now, thank you on Sunday Night Live for supporting the channel, for coming through and helping your neighbors, helping your countrymen understand what is happening. Godspeed to you. God bless. Good night. Semper Fi. And chance favors the prepared mind is yours.
Did you see Neil Young?